one of the co-founders of Merging Vets and Players. We're right back here on the show. Nate Boyer, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you.
You got it.
You've brought us up quite a bit, man. Don't act like this is the first time. MVP.
No.
Awesome.
I know that, but I just
appreciate it.
I never know who's just tuning in or
That's
whatever.
true. Okay, good.
You know
Fair
what I mean?
enough. People don't listen every day religiously.
You know what, Nate?
For the whole 3 hours.
I should agree with you that they probably do.
Yeah,
I will
they
do
probably
that.
do.
But it was so moving to me. And again, let's just. There might be people who are surfing in for the first time. Explain what MVP, Merging Vets and Players, is.
MVP is basically it's an organization, veteran service organization that doesn't just serve veterans; it serves former professional athletes as well. And we bring these two groups together and help them find purpose and service and community and that lockerhood, brotherhood, camaraderie, locker room.
Yes.
All those things that we really miss when that uniform comes off. Obviously we would never and will never compare what we do on the battlefield and versus the playing field or anything like that. But that transition afterwards, typically you're in your 20s and 30s, and that identity is gone. That career is over, and you feel often very disconnected from the group, from the team that you had. You were part of a mission. You had a specific role, and people relied on you. If you're an athlete playing on that big stage and identifying with, the what do you call it, the maize and blue?
Yes, sir.
Or whatever it is.
Right.
That's just, it becomes a part of who you are, and then you just feel like I don't know. I'm not part of the pack anymore, part of the tribe, and a lot of guys will isolate and sort of run from that past. You know what I mean? Instead of sort of embracing it and then using it moving forward. And so we lift each other up. We work out together every Wednesday night, and then we talk about our stuff. We sit around and huddle, and you got to experience it yourself.
Yes,
so.
I mean, Sean Merriman was one of the former players that were there, and you too. You got to experience both sides of these things. Obviously,
right.
You did most of your long snapping at Texas, where you would go back and forth between the campus at Austin and playing football games for the University of Texas, and then go and have 3 different combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. So you're the perfect person to team up with Glaze.
I'm the perfect person.
Yeah, I know. But and we're showing you right there with McConaughey right there on the sideline.
Which one's better looking?
You know what? Right there, I'll go toss up right there. Okay. I'm not going to throw a challenge flag on anything like that. I'm going to go toss up right there. So, and it was particularly moving, even though it was my first time going there. Jay was telling me, you got to come to this one in particular because it's Memorial Day. Right before Memorial Day.
Exactly.
And the thing that struck me that I really wanted to bring to the audience of this show was how difficult a weekend and how difficult a day, Memorial Day, is for so many veterans. And I'd love for you to give voice to why that is.
Yeah, it's for whatever reason, and I think that's a human condition. When certain dates come around, it can be really hard. So a lot of these people that come in, a lot of these veterans that come in, they've got those specific dates they remember where a tragedy occurred and they lost somebody or a group of people, and it can be different dates throughout the year. But then once again on Memorial Day, they all sort of come to a head, and you remember all of those men and women, and survival guilt is a big issue. It's a problem in the community, and we're always taught to be deflective and be very, very humble in a lot of ways, and not sort of want to talk about the good stuff that we did and we were a part of, stuff that we're proud of.
Sure.
So we fixate on the sad stuff and the hard stuff. And then when we have a day like Memorial Day, where we're supposed to remember these people, we were never really coached to celebrate them, you know what I mean? And to remember them in this positive light and kind of live for them and spend that day and that time honoring them. A lot of times, we'll get stuck in this rut of missing them and feeling like I wonder what if I could have done something different. We could have done something different. They should be here. I shouldn't be here. All these negative thoughts that just, they don't serve us. And it can be really difficult. And talk about that isolation. Like a lot of people, a lot of veterans will isolate on days like that. And, we see the public out there, they have a day off from work and they're enjoying themselves. And we don't understand that because we're like, this is not a happy day, right? Where it should be, in a lot of ways. And then there's that conversation we were having Wednesday night about the whole thank you for your service debate.
Yeah,
and that's a tough one.
Because towards the end, I guess if you will, civilians that were in the room spoke up.
Right.
And of which I was one, because, I have never served.
Right.
And so I asked the room, hey, I'm fortunate to work, as I say, in the toy department.
Toy department, yeah.
Here's what
I told somebody about that yesterday. It's a great line.
I work in the toy department, where I talk about games and losses and people that say something's an outrage. It's because of a blown call in the NFC Championship game. At any rate, so I said, "Hey,
was a blown call.
Chris," I said to the room, "I'm like, hey." And I know your dad is in the Coast Guard, correct?
Yes.
And you went from military base to military base as a kid,
We moved a
right?
lot when I was a kid.
Right. So I say to the room, what should I say to people when I'm on my show Friday, say before the weekend of all these sports and the Indy 500s Monday, et cetera? What do I say that people should know? What do you want me to tell people? And one of the folks in our circle raised his hand and said, tell them not to thank us for our service. And that blew me away. I'm like, why? And
Jay too.
And Jay was just like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Because most people will see somebody like yourself, Nate, again, Green Beret, Special Forces. You said you spent most of your time in Special Forces, right?
Right, yeah.
And I mean, on a day where you're alive.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, thank you for doing what you've done, but that is not particularly helpful. Is that the way to put it?
I don't ever want people to think that, because there are some people that are offended by those words, even on Memorial Day, veterans. And I think that's not healthy, because it's coming from a good place. Most people that say those things mean those things. You know what I mean? Yes, of course, there's going to be some people that just maybe say something out of obligation or, feel like this is what I'm supposed to do.
Or something that you want to hear.
Right,
Give you something that you'd like to hear, maybe. Sure.
But I think most people, just like most people are good people, most people that say that, they really mean it, and it's coming from a good place. So I don't, I don't want us to, as the veteran community, I don't want us to, become offended with that or say, don't say that to me on Memorial Day. That's not what it's about. It's not about thanking me for my service. It's about those that aren't here anymore. We don't want that, but it is important for the public to understand that it's a very difficult day for us, and it's not about us that are still here. It's about those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. And I think everybody knows that. So on that day, and we talked about different things that could be said. There's a million things, and there's no perfect answer. There's no perfect expression or gesture. There's no perfect protest when it comes to protests.
Yes, as you well know.
But just important to, to maybe emphasize if you're having a conversation with someone, if you're going to reach out to someone that, today I understand it's a hard day for you, and I want you to know that I'm thinking of you and those that you lost. I'm remembering them. But I do appreciate what you do, and I am, you can thank someone for their service, but I think that it's important to caveat that just so they know that you understand what today is really about. And that's the most important thing.
So on Memorial Day or throughout this weekend, if you do come across somebody who has served or is serving, you should essentially say, I'm thinking of you today and those that you lost.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And potentially just leave it at that, because again, the thing that really hit me hard was how difficult it is and how singularly focused many of those men and women in that room were about a sense of dread.
Yeah.
that Memorial Day was coming.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What are they going to do? What will they do with themselves? What can they do to remember those that they have lost? And amongst all of those thoughts clanking around the temples, somebody comes up and says, "Thank you for your service." It can really just hit them right in the gut. And that really hit me hard.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have a conversation with you, Nate Boyer, about this today.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, that anticipation of the day eats a lot of these people up, a lot of these guys up. And I think I was so fortunate when I got done that I went right into football, and I had another focus and something to sort of, get me through that stuff, and another team again, So I didn't really even kind of transition out of a uniform until I came out here, until after football was over. And then once again, I was fortunate to have, people like Jay in my life that wanted to make sure that my next step, I was doing something for those communities that I served, right, or that I was a part of. And but then to meet so many of the, like Denver and AJ, who you've had on the show, they run our LA chapter. I mean, Denver, in particular, in his unit in 2-7 in the Marine Corps, they lost a lot of guys, on back-to-back deployments, in 08 and 09, which is now 10 years ago. And when he got out, he didn't have something like this. And a lot of those guys in his unit did the same thing as he did. They didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to ever think about it again. And those dates, and particularly the Memorial Day, was just this anticipatory dread, every year of just like, it's coming. People aren't going to understand. I'm just going to be alone. I'd rather be alone today, and then they go into this isolation thing, and it's just, it's cyclical, and it's hard to get out of. And nobody's blaming the people that don't understand that and don't know. I mean, but it's just like you said, it's just education, like anything out, and helping people understand. And
not just helping people understand about, how to communicate from one person to another, from somebody to somebody who served. But let's talk a little bit, Nate Boyer, again, here on the Rich Eisen Show, about what folks who are watching and listening to us who have served, that they can do to get out of this riptide, to not succumb, for the lack of a better phrase, to this sense of dread here. Mergingvetsandplayers.org is a site that you can go to, other places that you can potentially go to. What advice would you give now?
There are so many organizations out there, veterans organizations, and that essentially you need to still be part of a tribe in some way. You know what I mean? And you need, as a service member, that's connected to us forever. We are people of service, whether you joined because it was court ordered or whatever your reason. Once you put that uniform on, you became a person of service, and that's who you're going to be forever. And if you don't have that in your life in some way, you're going to feel empty, and if you're aware of that or not, like, that's what a lot of that is. I know that's for me, because everything that's instilled in us is, what can I do for the man on my left and right? It's not typically about you. It's about the team, but specifically the others, the ones around you. And if we don't have that mindset and a little part of that in our daily life, it's really hard. And that's what's great about a group like MVP, is we get in that room and we train together. And then when we sit around and chat, it's all about building each other up. You
work on your body, and then you work on your mind and your spirit all at the same time. I saw that with my own two eyes. It really is powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's crucial. It's just a part that, like, emotional release is something that we have to have. The Spartans, way back when, they had a sort of a grieving period after a battle where they would, like, they were encouraged to mourn, in some way, and sort of let that out, and it doesn't always have to be in the form of tears, but you gotta share, you gotta be vulnerable in it. And, whether it's in sports, they say, are you hurt or are you injured? And in the military, it's suck it up and drive on. And it serves a purpose in battle, understandably. But then now that it's over, like, you can't live like that anymore. You know what I mean? You got to be able to, and willing to let that stuff off your chest and share it. And what better place but with a group of individuals who have a shared experience and understand, where you're coming from.
Yeah, and again, the website is vetsandplayers.org, at Merging Vets and Players on Twitter. And there's a spot here in Los Angeles, right? There's one in Chicago. Did you open one in Atlanta as well?
We got Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Chicago, and Atlanta, and soon to be New York City.
That's great.
Yeah, so
that's great. So people could just seek out and communicate and be in a group, as you say, find themselves in a tribe.
Exactly.
And get stuff off their chest. I mean, it was so important to see people just unburden themselves in a friendly environment. You know?
We give each other crap. I mean, it's just like when we were, whether it's a sports locker room or a team room in the military, like there's some heavy stuff we talk about, but
I'll say,
you've got to have that light side too. You've got to be able to, to laugh a little bit. You got to laugh through the tears.
And in terms of Memorial Day, right here in Los Angeles, because we are on all throughout the Southern California area, and especially on Angels Radio, AM 830. If you want to join Denver and AJ,
that's right.
They're taking a walk from the Santa Monica Pier to the Los Angeles National Cemetery on Memorial Day. They're gathering at 6:30 in the morning. So nice, bright and early.
Get up,
and join them. Bring an American flag, a friend, a family member, and some water because it's going to take a walk. And it's a nice walk, but you wind up in the Los Angeles National Cemetery and pay respects.
Yeah, and there's a ceremony that they do there every year, so they'll be there in time for that. It's really cool.
And what's the workout that you all were talking about? The
Murph.
Yes.
Yeah, the Murph Challenge. Michael Murphy, Lieutenant Michael Murphy was. He was, a teammate with Marcus Luttrell in that lone survival story that many people are familiar with.
The Pete Berg movie.
Exactly, Lieutenant Murphy, to make a radio call, basically to call in support, put himself in an exposed area, knowing that he was going to be probably killed, and he was. But he did it for the man on his left and right, as we talked about. But his favorite workout was this ball buster of a workout. And, he was a PT stud. And so every year on Memorial Day, millions of people across the country, it was sort of really popularized through the CrossFit culture, do a workout in honor of him. And it's, you run a mile and then you do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats with a weighted vest on, and then you run another mile.
Yeah, we're watching this. Sean Merriman and Chris Pratt and a whole bunch of folks doing it, and you doing it in the Unbreakable gym here.
Yeah, we did it. We did it this week or last week, I guess, in honor of Memorial Day today. And Chris is a big supporter of the veteran community. There's Randy Couture and obviously Glazer, and it was cool, but it sucks. But it's supposed to. We just want everyone to get a little taste of something that sucks. And it sucks.
Oh man, not everybody's cut out to be a SEAL, I guess, huh? Nate Boyer 37. That's your Twitter handle and also Instagram handle. Before I let you go, the waterboys.org as well. You're tight with Long. You do a lot for that organization. Now that he's retired, I guess he's going to throw himself fully into this thing.
He's been already fully, man.
I guess that's a wrong for to put
climbs,
it. Yeah, no.
He climbs after the back-to-back Super Bowls that he went to. 2 weeks later, he's on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro with these, wounded veterans and former NFL players, and raising money for clean water wells in Tanzania.
He's awesome. He's
a great dude. Yeah.
As I was saying, I mean, what a year he's having, right? I mean, Walter Payton, Man of the Year. His Virginia Cavaliers win the NCAA tournament after last year, where they were it was the lowest of the lows, and now he walks away from the game, healthy man, father, husband.
He's gonna do a lot of great stuff. I have a feeling he's a capable
human being. You know?
There you go.
Right back at you too, Nate Boyer. You too. Thanks for coming on here.
Well.
Thanks for coming on here, and go to vetsandplayers.org at Merging Vets and Players. And I'm thinking of your comrades that you've lost.
Thank you very much, sir. And appreciate that. That's all we ask for.
And everyone should, on Memorial Day, take a moment to remember those who are no longer with us because they fought for our freedom, to have a day like Memorial Day off and enjoying our families. Thanks for being here, Nate.
Take a moment, but do enjoy yourself. Do enjoy yourself. Just understand why we get to. That's all.
Nate Boyer here on The Rich Eisen Show.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.